So I just watched a Limp Bizkit video that I've watched probably 100,000 times. Okay, maybe not 100,000, but I would bet. I think I can fairly say probably 1,000 times I've watched this video. I haven't watched it in a long ass time. I don't remember the last time I watched it, but when I watched it the most was at a time in my life when I was, doing a lot of just sitting in front of my laptop, watching a ton of YouTube videos. That's how I discovered most of the music that I like right now. Like even now, like that music echoes 2 years later of like sitting there watching YouTube, fucking wasted as fuck after drinking a bottle of fucking bourbon and a whole bunch of beer. Just like sitting there watching YouTube and just whatever fucking music video pops up next, right? Like I start off with like Breaking Benjamin and it just starts to go on and on and on from there. And I discovered songs like Limp Bizkit that I hadn't heard before. I discovered artists like Crucifix and Jelly Roll that I had never heard before. But anyways, I'm just watching this Limp Bizkit video. It's a song called Ready to Go, and maybe you've heard the song, but if you haven't watched the video, I was just watching the video, and I thought, you know what? I bet most men, maybe a little bit older than my demo. My demo is 22 to 46, so like maybe like in that 35 to 50-year-old range. I think most men in the 35-year-old to 50-year-old range basically want to be Fred Durst. Like, I'm watching this video and I'm watching how much fun he's having on stage and doing this music video that's pretty much ridiculous. The whole fucking video is pretty ridiculous. I'm watching him go along, and I'm thinking to myself, I would love to be Fred Durst. Like, now, yeah, I'd love to be him fucking 25 years ago also, but I'd love to be Fred Durst now. He's got the money, and he's got the freedom to just be like, oh yeah, I'm going on tour with fucking 30 other bands, and I'm gonna get on stage and I'm gonna act ridiculous, and I can sing all of these lyrics that are absolutely ridiculous, and somehow get Lil Wayne to be on a track with me. Like, that would be fucking awesome. Like, how fucking cool would that be? All right, now I said all that because like I'm fitting to take some acoustic guitar lessons, so maybe I could find myself on like a stage in front of 30,000 people at some point. Who fucking knows what could happen? As highly unlikely as that is, it's still fucking awesome. Like, I'm watching that thinking like, I don't care what your opinion is of Limp Bizkit, just watch the fucking music video for Ready to Go, and watch Fred Durst and the shit that he does. And he's probably, I don't know, what is he, 45, 50 years old maybe, give or take. And just watch the fun that he is having. And he's got the income to do it, and the freedom to just fucking go off and fucking do a tour. Whatever, no big deal. I'm just going to go on this fucking tour. Not even a real tour. Like, he's not doing like Tom Segura right now is touring the country since I think like last November, and he is really touring. He is fit, the name of his tour is I'm Coming Everywhere, and he is literally going all over this country. Just constantly, like, I can't imagine. There is a part of me that's like, I can't imagine being like that. Like it seems awesome, and especially when you look at the money that these people have. Like, Tom Segura has a net worth right around $5-6 million, which is great. Like, he has a ton of money. I mean, by my standards, he has a ton of money. By fucking rich person standards, he's probably pretty low on that totem pole. But regardless, he has a bunch of fucking money. But he's also working his fucking ass off. Like, I can't imagine. Like, the president was in our town about 2 months ago, and I just thought, like, man, I would fucking hate that, to be president. Like, because he probably woke up that morning. He probably has to wake up at like 4 in the morning, wake up, do all of his briefing bullshit, and then get on his goddamn Air Force One and fly to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and hang out for not even the day. Like, he was here for like 3 or 4 hours before getting back on that plane and flying back to Washington. And then who knows whatever happens after that, after he gets back there. like I don't know. And Tom Segura, kind of the same thing, very similar. He had talked about like me and Ro went to go see Tom Segura live a few months ago. We go see him in Portland, Maine, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm listening to his podcast, Your Mom's House. I'm listening to the podcast, and he's talking about that, kind of. I mean, not necessarily the actual show, but he's saying, he's sitting there. If you've ever listened to Your Mom's House, it's him and his wife, Christina Pajitsky. It's the two of them, and he's talking about being in Portland, Maine, and he's like, oh yeah, it was nice, we did the show and whatever, and you guys, being his wife and his kids, says, oh, and then you guys flew up to see me and then rode with me in the bus to Boston, because I think Boston was his next show. So like, they go and they're hanging out in the hotel room waiting for him to finish this show, and then he goes back to the hotel room and hangs out with his wife and kids. And then, the next day or whatever, they get up and they get on this bus and they go to Boston. And that's kind of his life right now. Like, and he's still doing his podcast. His podcast released every week. And he, if he's smart, which I assume he is, he's probably doing, he lives in Austin, Texas. So he's probably flying back to Austin, Texas, a few times a month, if not a few times a week. He's flying back to Austin, Texas, to do his, do the podcast, and then going back out wherever on tour. It's just, it's kind of a wild life. Like, it seemed, like, I don't know, there's parts of me that envy it. When it comes to Fred Durst, I think that looks pretty cool, because he's not really touring. He's not doing actual tours. It's just like, oh, there's this music festival, and we want Limp Bizkit there. And he goes and he does this little music festival for 3 or 4 days, and then he's done. He goes back to wherever he lives and waits for the next music festival to pop up. I do think it's weird because there's a Bubba Sparks song that I like. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's a Bubba Sparks song, and Fred Durst is absolutely no part of the song. He has absolutely nothing to do with the song, but he is featured in the music video with no lines, nothing. He's just sitting there. He plays like, I don't know, the gatekeeper to heaven or something like that. He plays like St. Peter. I don't know. Anyways, it's fucking weird. Jason Trefethan saying hi, bud, on the comments. Hi, how are you? It doesn't even look like you're watching anymore, so yeah, cool. Thanks for checking in, though. I do appreciate anyone that checks in. Second episode. I did an episode on Thursday night, 2 nights ago. Now it's Saturday. Basically, I came home from a thing tonight, and as soon as I got home, it's 10 o'clock right now. I got home like 25-ish minutes ago. As soon as I got home, Rochelle was like, I'm going to jump in the shower, and then we can, then we'll catch up on each other's day. But I still have 9 minutes of my TV show that I want to finish. I was like, okay, cool. Which basically means that I can't, I don't want to fuck with the TV because I don't want to, lose her place in the show that she's watching. So I was like, what am I going to do for the next hour and change until she's done with this, done taking a shower and done watching this last 9 minutes of the show. And I had a couple thoughts. I was like, I could just fucking get my phone and listen to music. I could, grab my iPad and watch a movie on there. I could go upstairs and play with my flight simulator or fucking something like that. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I can knock out a podcast, So I have no idea how long or short this will be. It could be a full episode of give or take an hour. It could end up being I could be done in the next 10 minutes. I have no idea. We'll see. But being that it's only Saturday night and I just checked in with you on Thursday, not a ton of ground to cover. Although, I will say, I mentioned it on Thursday. I mentioned it on Thursday night's episode. I'll mention it again tonight. Last night was Friday night. Me and Rochelle, we went to my daughter's graduation, which was awesome. If you're not a Facebook friend of mine, I haven't posted this on Instagram or anything like that. My relationship with my daughters has been, to put it lightly, has been strained for the last few years. But about a year ago now, me and my second daughter, Deandra, we kind of reconnected via text. And we started text messaging back and forth, saying happy birthday to each other and texting each other every week. Like maybe I might text her on Friday and say, hey, how was your week? Or I text her on Sunday, say, how was your weekend? I text her on Wednesday, hey, happy Wednesday. How's your week going so far? That type of shit, right? So we try to keep in contact on a weekly basis. So about a month ago now, maybe 6 weeks ago, she texted me and she said, hey, I'm graduating high school in a few weeks, and I'd really love it if you and Rochelle could be there. And I was psyched. I tried, and I think I was successful in my text messages to hide my excitement. But I immediately screenshot that, sent it to Ro, and I was super excited. She was super excited to meet Deandra. After all this time of her and I texting back and forth and me sharing, some of our conversations back and forth, I was like, oh, she says that she's working this weekend, that kind of thing. So Rochelle was really excited for me and really excited to meet Deandra. So we were both just really excited. And I left work early on Friday so that we could get there because it started at 6 o'clock and it's about a 40-minute drive. So I left work early so that I could come home, get, all dolled up and get dressed and whatever. And then we drove over there. Graduation itself was fine. I mean, it's a fucking high school graduation. Like, high school graduations, the graduation part is the big deal, but it always seems like graduations... This one was a little different. Like, it wasn't as bad because I've noticed, like, in law enforcement and military especially, any form of graduation in the military isn't really about the actual graduates. It's about giving some sort of award to someone who the graduates never even fucking met. Like, I remember graduating basic training and then presenting awards to people that we had never met before the actual, like, congratulations, you've graduated. You've graduated basic training. Same thing with the police academy. Maybe not quite as bad, but the police academy was very similar where, like, the graduation time frame is like an hour and a half long, but an hour and 10 minutes of that is taken up by them, giving awards to people that we've never fucking heard of. But last night, the graduation ceremony was fine. They had this musical portion of it that was kind of weird. Like, why are we stopping this graduation ceremony for the next 10 or 15 minutes to listen to the chorus program or whatever they call it, musical program, do their thing. Like, we didn't stop for 10 or 15 minutes to watch a football game. I mean, what's going on? Why are we doing this? And then the graduation was cool. My daughter, Deandra, she was all dressed up. She had like these, I don't know what they're called. I don't know dick about makeup. But they're like little things that she put around her face that kind of look like, I don't know what to fucking call it. Imagine an Egyptian mask that you actually like put on your head, but what she did was it was actually like little sticky things that go on her face. I don't know how to describe that, and I don't know what it's called. Rochelle probably knows what it's called, but I have absolutely no idea. But she was walking, we're sitting there watching all the graduates walk in, and she was, we're looking for Deandra, and then when I saw her with those things on her face, I was like, that's her. Holy shit, that's her. And we both were like, hi, we both got really excited. And of course, you can't go anywhere without Rochelle meeting someone that she knows. And we're sitting there, and they called out one of the teachers, and she goes, oh, I think I know that person. And sure enough, she did. She knew exactly who it was. So that was cool. And then afterwards, we do some pictures with them. I ran into, her grandparents from her mother's side were there also. So I saw them. I haven't seen them in a long time. So stood and talked to them for a little bit, which was nice. Excuse me. They were, divorces are ugly. They're always ugly. Especially when there's kids involved. Divorce is just, it always seems to be ugly when there's kids involved. Um, so it was nice to talk to my former mother-in-law and father-in-law, and everything was fine. So finished up with them, and then we took Deandra out to dinner to Applebee's, which is her favorite restaurant, and it happens to be ours also. We have like a running list of bars that we want to go to together in Portsmouth. That either there's a bunch that I've never been to. There's some that she has been to, but we've never been to together. So we have a whole running list of places that we want to go together. And somehow we always end up at Applebee's. Somehow, even when it's like, all right, let's go to a new bar, we run through the list and we're like, I don't really want to go to that one. And we somehow always end up at Applebee's. I think it has to do with the nachos. So we take her to Applebee's, and we sat with her for fucking, how long were we? We must have been there for at least an hour. At a bare minimum, we were there for an hour. Just talking the shit and catching up and talking about the future and talking about some of our hobbies and talking about adventures we've been on and stuff like that. So we had a lot of fun. I mean, I was smiles the whole time, the whole goddamn 4, 5, 6 hours. I just had this giant smile on my face. I was just so happy I haven't seen my daughter in 3 years, so to be able to reconnect with her, not even just this last night, like the last year of texting with her, and then it all kind of culminates last night in being able to go to her graduation, see her graduate high school. I even got to meet her boyfriend. Seemed like a nice enough guy. My daughter's adorable. She's got this little handshake that she does with all of her close friends. She has a special handshake. So got to see that, and then going out to dinner with her, and then we drove her home at the end of the night and giving her a big hug and telling her for the millionth fucking time in the last year how proud I am of her and how far she's come, and just it was just really awesome. And to have Ro there with me for it, there wasn't a lot of empty space where it was like, oh, I don't really know what to say right now. There wasn't a lot of moments like that, but the ones that did pop up, I had Ro right there to fill in the blank, to fill in that spot and help me along and help us along. And it was just awesome. I cannot even begin to describe how special the entire experience was for me. And then we came home last night, and Ro went upstairs to take a shower, and I hung out on the couch, kind of processed everything. And when she came back downstairs, I just totally broke down. I just fell apart. And she came back downstairs and was telling me, Ro was telling me how proud she is of me and just following through and stuff like that. And so I ended up breaking down on the couch a little bit. Maybe not a ton, but I broke down a little bit on the couch. So but it was awesome. It was just a really awesome, the whole thing was probably about 6 hours. Well, we left the house at 5:00 and we got home around 11. So yeah, about 6 hours. And the whole thing was just really, really great. The drive there with Ro to talk to her and catch up on our day real quick. And then, the next 4 hours of like, this is all about Deandra and, spending so much time with her after the graduation and, all the pictures and just, it was really awesome. I couldn't have been more happy. By the end of the night last night, I just could not have been more happy about everything. So, that was my night last night. And then tonight I went over to my friend Tim's house, my friend Tim from work. He needed help moving a refrigerator. So went over there, gave him a hand with that, and shot the shit with him for 30 or 40 minutes. And then there's a motorcycle club here in Portsmouth called Dustbusters, and happens to be that Tim is not only part of it, the guy that heads up the whole thing. He is the guy that does the work on my motorcycle when I need it. Things like when I need a tire changed, he does that stuff for me. So So they were having a men's night tonight. It was a men only movie night, and it was pretty awesome. There's no other way to put it. Everyone shows up on their motorcycles, which is awesome. And they do like a movie night. So they got this projector screen to project a movie onto the wall. I've been to it before. The first time I went was in, I don't even remember. I mean, it might have been 2013. It was probably more like 2014. We went to it then, or I went to it then, and all kinds of food, and really just cool to like hang out with just the guys and shoot the shit. And every other time that I've been, I've been 3 times I think to these men's only movie nights, and every other time that I've been, Tim has been there kind of with me, which is nice, to have Tim there with me. But tonight Tim was like, or this afternoon, Tim was like, I don't think I'm gonna go. I'm tired. I think I'm just gonna hang out at home. And so then I go over to his house after work anyways to help him move this refrigerator. And he was like, what are you up to? I was like, I'm going to head over to Cabot Street and hang out with those guys, because that's what I said I was going to do. So, I wasn't super psyched. I wasn't super thrilled to go over to a group of people that I don't really know. I knew a couple of the guys there, but I was like, but it was what I said I was going to do. So fuck it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow through on it. This is what I said I'm going to do. So I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing for the rest of the night. So I go over, I helped him move this refrigerator, and when he's asked me what I'm going to do the rest of the night, I said, I'm going to head over to Cabot Street. And then he was like, okay, I guess I'll go over. I'll go hang out for a little bit. So went over there. They had a bunch of food, mostly hamburgers, hot dogs, steak tips, that kind of thing. Barbecue food. We hung out for a while, had a couple of beers together, smoked a cigar, and then hung out. The movie for this particular event was Jaws. I caught a couple of things. You know what? Actually, I didn't fucking realize. So the police officer, or a police officer in that movie, drives like an old Chevy Blazer. I think it's a Chevy Blazer. It's like a beige and white, and it says Amity Police on it. There is someone, so last weekend, I mentioned the other night, last weekend we went to that Seacoast Cars and Coffee thing for this car show, and the car show, there's a vehicle that I've seen a couple times there, and this car is, it's the Chevy Blazer. It's the exact same thing. It says, Amity Police or whatever on it, and I always thought that was some sort of reference to Amityville. That's what I always thought of it as. Whoops. Shut up. I always thought it was Amityville. That's what I thought the reference was. That was not that's not the case apparently. Apparently it's Amity Police from the movie Jaws. So, anyways, the movie tonight was Jaws. And I don't know. I didn't really watch very much of it. I kind of just hung out, talking to Tim, talking to a couple of the other guys, hanging out. Me and Tim mostly talked about work. And that was basically it. That was basically my night. And came home, and as soon as I walked in the door, Rose said, I'm going to go take a shower, and I, did some dishes, and I was like, I'm going to jump on the microphone real quick, because fuck it, what else do I got going on? So that's where I'm at. How about a cool military story? Because I got very little else to talk about. I just did a fucking over an hour on Thursday, so I gotta tell you, it's not easy to fucking knock out an hour-long podcast, okay? I've been fortunate the last few episodes to be able to knock out an hour. I've been fortunate the last few episodes to knock out an hour. Somehow, I was able to pull that together. I don't know how I did. Maybe it's because I went, a week or two without recording. But I just did one of these the other night, which was an hour, and so now tonight I don't have as much to talk about. So I figured, fuck it, I'll do a military story. How about a military story? So here's a military story. So I'm in Iraq in 2004, and I was on like a prison camp. I'm sorry if you've already heard this, because now that as I'm starting it, I'm like, oh shit, have I told this story? I don't remember. So it doesn't matter. Whatever. Maybe you've forgotten to. Maybe you also listen to the podcast while drinking. I don't fucking know. So I'm in Iraq in 2004, and I was on a prison camp, and this prison camp was about it was a good sized camp. It was like 1 mile by 1 mile, and the southern section of this camp was all prisons. It was all, but they're not like good prisons. Like, don't think like actual fucking prison. That's not what this was like. It was sand as a base, and then fences that went up like 30, 40, 50 feet. I can't remember exactly how tall the fences were, with razor wire on the top of the fences. And that was basically it. Especially when I got there. That's basically how it was. They progressed a little bit, but not by much, as time went on through my deployment. But like the furthest that they got was there's still sand on the ground, and still a fence, and still razor wire on top. But now the actual prisoners had these tents. These tents held like, I don't know, 100 of them or so. And there's 10 tents to a single compound. And then there were 20 compounds or something like that. Like, we had space, quote unquote space. I mean, they were basically sleeping on top of each other, but we had space for like 10,000 prisoners. So I'm in there one night, and I'm in one of the guard towers, because we had 4 guard towers, one on each side of each fence. And I'm in one of the guard towers, and there's a fucking riot, right? So these guard towers are 60, 70 feet above the actual thing, which is stupid, because there's nothing you can do. You can't fucking do anything other than watch. Like, the effective range of the less than lethal, because we had less than lethal weapons inside the prison. The effective range of the less than lethal shotgun rounds that we were using was only like 20 feet. So I could be in an observation tower, point a less than lethal shotgun down into the compound, and by the time it got to the actual prisoner, it's not fucking doing anything. Like, I never shot one of these fucking things. There was a riot one time where this guy got his ass fucking handed to him. Like, I'm sitting in an observation tower, and it was right after like Abu Ghraib, and all this bad shit came out about like prisoner mistreatment and shit like that. And people are getting arrested, like soldiers are getting arrested for mistreating prisoners, all that kind of shit. And this guy comes running out of a fucking tent, and he's being chased by 100 or more prisoners. I don't know the story, but I don't know the true story behind it. What I heard was that he was a pedophile, and these prisoners were chasing him down because of that. I don't know if that's true or not, but either way, he comes running down, and they catch him, and they beat the shit out of this guy. And I stood in my tower, and I fucking watched. I didn't do a fucking thing. And afterwards, one of the army captains comes up to me, and he's like, "Why didn't you fucking shoot him with the lesson?" I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, these rounds don't reach them. I can't do anything from here where I'm standing. I can't do anything other than yell down to the people on the ground, "Hey, there's a riot in the fucking prison," and they can see it anyways. They don't need me to fucking let them know. They were watching it too. But I can't fucking shoot at them. And even if I did, like, then what? Like, it's not gonna fucking hit. So what good is it? And you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not fucking going to jail. All right. If some prisoner gets fucking killed in the prison, that sucks for them. And I don't feel good about that, because a lot of those prisoners, I know that I talked about this before, but a lot of those prisoners were there for literally no reason. Like, we had a list of like why these people are here, and the list was just constantly crimes against coalition forces. Do you know what a crime against a coalition force was? It was being out after curfew. The Iraqis in 2004 had a curfew of 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. You weren't supposed to be out on the road anywhere, because they didn't want people setting up IEDs. And if you were caught out on the road, and I mean at all, like if you were driving somewhere, if you were caught just being out after 10 p.m., then you were thrown in a fucking Humvee and driven over to my camp and thrown in a prison for crimes against coalition forces. Do you know what the military does not enforce is pedophilia in another country, in a fucking war zone? Okay, we don't enforce that type of shit. So really, it's just like, okay, is that true? I don't fucking know. Nor do I much care. I mean, I care about pedophilia, but when it comes to like that particular scenario, it's like, I don't fucking know how true that is. This person was never tried and convicted. No evidence was ever presented to anyone other than just these prisoners saying, this is why we beat the shit out of him. But anyways, that's all beside. That's a different story. So now you're going to get two military stories. So the other one is that I'm in a observation tower one night, and it's late. It's probably 11 midnight, something like that. It's pretty late at night, and there's a riot in the prison, and I'm on one end of the actual prison, and the riot is on the complete other fucking end. I mean, all of these people are probably a few hundred feet away from me. They're pretty far away from me. Now, I had a bucket full of flashbang grenades. So I just start pulling pins out of flashbang grenades and throwing them. And I'm throwing them. And like I said, we're 60, 70 feet in the air. These people are hundreds of feet away. I'm throwing these flashbang grenades. They are bursting midair because flashbang grenades go off almost immediately. They're bursting midair. They are doing absolutely nothing. They're like fireworks in the sky. There's absolutely nothing that they're doing. They're not scaring these prisoners. They're nothing. It's what I'm doing is absolutely useless. But what happened was a colonel comes walking up the steps. In the midst of this riot, he just comes walking up all casual because he's on the outside of the concertina wire, on the outside of the razor wire. He comes walking up and he watches me throw a few more flashbang grenades. And he says, "Why are you throwing those grenades?" And I said, "Because they told me I can. So why fucking not?" I might not have said the why fucking not part, but that was what went through my head. Yeah, they told me I could throw flashbang grenades. So why not? Why not throw them? I'm going to throw as many as I want until this thing is over. So there you go. That's a quick little military story. So I've already done half an hour. I don't think that I can fill another. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that I can fill another half hour. I'm tired. I've been drinking, and usually those two, they don't really matter. Especially the drinking part. Like, I can usually do one of these and knock them out when I've been drinking. But normally on a Saturday, I've been able to take like a nap. Historically, if I'm going to do like a Saturday night 10 o'clock podcast, it's because I have been able to come home from work after a long day and sleep for an hour and then start drinking and then do a podcast. In this particular case, I did not nap at all. I've been up since 7 o'clock this morning. I didn't go to bed until like 1:30 or 2 o'clock last night. And I'm tired. And I think that I just want to, wrap this motherfucker up. I really just wanted to do a quick fucking jump on the mic type of thing. So I think I'm going to wrap this motherfucker up. I'm probably going to end up running out of storage space anyways on the on my hosting service this month. So now I probably will. So I think I'm just gonna wrap this motherfucker up. I'm probably gonna go downstairs, fall asleep on the couch for 20 or 30 minutes, and when Ro comes downstairs and she's ready to watch something, probably fucking Moon Knight, because we feel like we have an obligation to finish it now. We started watching that stupid show. We're 3 episodes in. We just finished episode 3 last night, and neither one of us is like, we have to, this is so good. Like, this is not The Mandalorian. This is like, why are we watching? The only reason we're watching this is because we both fear that it's going to end up popping up in a Marvel movie at some point, and we're not going to understand the reference. Like, we watched Hawkeye last year. We watched one episode of Hawkeye and then decided to watch Black Widow because Hawkeye kind of interjects with that. My biggest problem with Hawkeye and Black Widow is that the movie Black Widow should have come out long before it did. Like, it came out in 2020. It should have come out in Captain America Civil War was in 2016. So Black Widow should have also come out in like either 2016 or 2015. It should have come out it should have come out it should have come out after Civil War. Like somewhere between Civil War and Infinity War, they should have mashed in Black Widow in some way. They should have figured out a way to do that. They should, having it come out after Infinity War or Endgame, whichever one it came out after Endgame. Having it come out after Endgame was just stupid. They should not have done it that way. So yeah, we're watching Moon Knight. We'll probably watch another episode tonight after she finishes the show that she's watching. I think it's The Last Kingdom. So, all right, that's going to do it for me. Have a good night. Have a great weekend, everyone, and be safe and be well. Okay, bye.